Okay, it's clearer now. What it do, everybody? This thing is different. I just bought this little light thing. Hold on one second. Because I be out and about sometimes. And I need some. Ah! Come on. When I say struggles are real, don't let nobody tell you struggles are not real. Because they be real. We're going to put it on this side. Hey! So, what up, y'all? So today I want to talk about the basics, knowing the basics on HSV, knowing the basics on herpes simplex virus. As y'all know, if you don't know the basics, that's majority of the reason why you're stuck. It's majority of the reason why you can't get past your diagnosis, or you can't accept your diagnosis, or you know you're getting to a point where the rejection still stings, the initial diagnosis still stings, like, or you'll had it for years and it just seems like you're still feeling the same way you felt in the beginning. It's because you still are lacking some basics. You have to know the basics to move forward. All right. So, Belize, what are the basics? The basic number one is education. Number one at the top, you must understand the virus. You must. If you don't understand it, that will keep you stuck on the stigma. It will get you stuck in your feelings. It will get you stuck in everything else other than taking the time to educate yourself 100%. All right. What is 100% beliefs? Making sure you know what the virus is. You know what HSV is. You know exactly how it's transmitted. You know your status. Okay. 100% know your status. Not because, you just think you have it. No, you have went to the doctor. You got an official status. It's in your my chart. You know. All right. Also, you need to know exactly how your outbreaks look for yourself. Okay. This is all in the educational piece. Okay. I think everybody think the educational piece is just the knowledge per se. No, the educational piece is learning the virus for completely yourself. Okay. So knowing the basis of the virus, and then from knowing the basis of the virus, knowing how the virus shows up for you. Okay. Some of y'all will not have any symptoms at all. Some people will have all the symptoms. I mean, textbook symptoms: itching, burning, discomfort, fever. They'll have the aching, the tingling, the everything. All right. The clusters of bumps. They will have everything. The blisters. Some people will just literally have one or two symptoms. Some people only have one symptom. It just depends. But it's very important that you know and you're educated on how the virus show up for you. Okay. Also, after you know how the virus is, educating yourself on the virus and how the virus show up for you, now you need to ask yourself, what is my treatment plan? Okay? Treatment plan. Education, what the virus is, how it show up for you, how it look with you, how it show up in your body. Now, what is your treatment plan? Are you going to take antivirals? Are you only going to take it when you're having an outbreak? Are you going to take it every day? Which one works for you? Do Valtrex work for you better than a cyclovir? Like some people, Valtrex is the bread and butter for them. Some people, cyclovir is the bread and butter for them. You just got to know which one works for you. All right. Is the dosage too low? Okay. You need to know these things. This is why I'm saying you need to know this treatment plan to the T. Because if it's not working, you don't have a treatment plan. Okay. If it's not working, you do not have a treatment plan. All right. It needs to work. When an outbreak shows up, you should be able to do this treatment plan and you should be able to cut the chances of that outbreak completely getting to a full outbreak or shorten the days on it. All right. If you do not want to take no antivirals at all, what supplements are you going to take? Are you going to do zinc? Are you going to do black seed oil? Are you going to do are you gonna do lysine? Are you gonna do vitamin C? Some people do a whole variety of things, but as we know, lysine is the most popular one, and oregano is the most popular one. But which one are you going to take? All right, you need to determine what you're gonna take. In that process, what works? Okay, treatment plan. What works? I need you to get that at the bottom of your soul. It has to work. You have to be able to take whatever supplements you're taking, and they work to keep your outbreaks away or keep your outbreaks real short and to the point. Okay. Next, if you do not want to take supplements at all, and you're like, please, I want to just put some on it, topical. That's me all day, y'all. That's me. That's me. That's my area of expertise. It's topicals. I only do topicals, or I only do something adjusted where I will eat certain way. So I will eat my I'll do like green vegetables. I'll stay very hydrated, and I will do my Vanquish Care products. Vanquish Care is the product line that I created where you completely will be topical. You will put the speed up cream on yourself. You'll use the washout soap. You'll use the HB Gone spray, and boom, it will help you go ahead and get rid of it faster. Okay. Now, with all of these things you're doing, remember, Vanquish Care could be used for all of these as you learn it. Okay. They could be added. Vanquish Care products could be added the whole time. Speed up cream, HB Gone spray, wash out soap, is your bread and butter. Add it. Okay. Just go to vanquishcare.com. All right. That is the website. The products absolutely work. It's review galore over there. All right. So, with that treatment plan, it must work. Some of you guys are going to get stuck in the treatment plan state of the basics for a while because if you're not having ongoing outbreaks, you don't know what really works. This is how you know it works. If you're not having outbreaks, it works. Boom, there you go. If you're not having outbreaks, it's working. If you're not having any symptoms, and when I say some people are like, well, Belise, I'm not having no bumps, but baby, you're aching. Okay, okay, you're itching ongoing, you're still having outbreak symptoms. Okay. I need us to understand that, because if you don't understand that you're having an outbreak, then you don't understand what you're using is not working. And the best way to manage having this condition is managing them outbreaks. All right. So make sure you get to a point where you're not having any outbreaks. That is the ultimate goal, is not having outbreaks or shorten your outbreaks as quick as possible. Like you want your outbreaks to be gone in less than a week. All right. Less than a week, you want that outbreak gone, or a week at the most. All right. Some people outbreaks be on and on and on and on and on. It's because they have not figured out what works. I don't want that for you guys. It takes a toll on the mental health. When I say it takes a heavy toll, it takes a heavy toll on the mental health. So it's very important that you make sure your treatment plan works. All right. Antivirals, if you choose to go antiviral route, supplement route, if you choose to go supplement route, topical, only if that's what you choose to do, or diet if you choose to do. Remember, you can do all three, but make sure all three work. This is going to be your trial and area. Okay, your treatment plan takes the longest to learn. Okay, it takes the longest to learn. When you get it because it helps you reduce transmission. All right, there you go. Now, next thing we go into learning how the transmission for real work. All right, knowing how you can have a sexual life or an intimate life comfortably. All right. Because most people, the biggest thing is, I don't want to give it to anyone. All right. So you don't want to give it to anyone. You need to know how that looks. All right. How that looks is you're having an outbreak, which is physical. Okay. Physical. You are having the symptoms, you feel them, or simply the virus is active and you just don't see it. All right. It's active and you don't see it. Think of COVID. Everybody giving people COVID and you did not know they had COVID. All viruses do that. All right. It's a shedding period per se. So know that time it ain't much you can do because you don't know it's there. But this goes to your treatment plan. If you're doing a treatment plan that's dealing with antivirals or some type of supplements, it can reduce that time when you don't see it, or that shedding period. It reduced transmission time. Okay. So for my people who are like, Belise, what can I do about shedding? You need to figure out what treatment you're going to use. Antivirals or any type of supplement is going to simply help you reduce that shedding period for you. Once again, it's not 100%. Remember, those two things are not cures. All right. Those assist you with reducing, and they can reduce them very low for you. Okay. I can give y'all numbers all day, but it don't make a difference, because at the end of the day, it still is a chance. And I'm saying that for y'all because some people are like, well, what percent? Girl, I don't care if I told you 2%. You could have got herpes off 2% for you. It don't make a difference, don't it? And the biggest goal is to get it down as low as possible, so now you don't have to worry about feeling like you're not doing nothing. The whole goal is not to feel like you're not doing nothing, but do something and know that I'm doing enough to try to reduce the chance of transmission altogether. All right. After doing that, you want to get to a point of how I'm going to feel about transmission. Okay. This area is where a lot of people get stuck too, because at the end of it, I don't want to give anybody. Okay, I get it. Listen, take it for somebody who's been 15 years in. I absolutely get you do not want to give it to nobody, but you cannot keep worried about not giving it to nobody and not doing nothing. That's not the goal. You do not want to sit and not be with nobody. You don't want to sit and not have sex. You don't want to sit and not have no children. You don't want to sit and not do a lot of things. So you have to get to a point of, if I can do everything I can do, which number one is educating myself fully, educating how it affects my body, coming up with a treatment plan, and then understand how I want to move pertaining to transmission, reducing transmission, it will give you more peace of mind. But because you're lacking probably those first two, the reason why transmission is so heavy, because you don't feel like you got no plan. You don't know what to do, how to do, or where to go about doing it. Okay? So make sure you figure that out. All right? When those things get under lock, it reduces the transmission fear. All right? Now you also need to figure out for yourself, if I gave it to somebody, how would I feel and how would I handle it? This is not something people talk about, but you need to talk about it. And I want to do a whole nother video on how to manage that and how to move through that. You need to talk through that. The worst thing to do is the first time for real worrying about how you're going to deal with getting through transmission or passing the virus on is when it happens. It's not a pretty feeling to feel it while you never try when you try to ignore it. Okay. So I prefer you to feel a lot of this stuff without it even happening, and figuring out how to deal with it and get the support where I'm here to help you through that, because I've been through that moment of, oh my God, I'm so scared to transmit it to somebody. I think I only gave it to one person, well, two people out my whole life, and I know what it feels like, y'all. But I also dealt with how would I feel if I gave it to them too. All right. So that is something also to deal with. All right. Next thing you want to figure out, what is going to be your additional method of reducing transmission. All right. Are you going to use condoms? Female condoms, male condoms, are you going to use dental dams? You need to ask yourself, what are you going to use? Now, I do want you to be realistic with yourself. When you get to a long-term relationship, condoms tend to go out the window. So you do want to consider, if you, in the beginning, you're choosing to use condoms or using condoms the whole time until you get to a comfortable space, or you're choosing not to use condoms at all. I do not go into here talking about, I'm going to use condoms forever. You're lying to yourself. Don't do it to yourself. I love you, but you're not going to do it. Okay. Nobody's going to be in a relationship and just use condoms for the rest of their life. Okay. The only people who choose to use condoms for the rest of their life, they are allergic to their partner. Literally allergic to their partner. So they got to a place where, depending on what their partner is eating, doing, that may get to a point, their bodies just don't hit right. So they got to use condoms just to prevent the partner from having allergic reactions, having BV, yeast infections, things like that. So that's one thing. I'm well. Hey, love. So that's the only time that you typically hear people say they use condoms for a long period of time, or if the woman cannot be on birth control. She's allergic to birth control. She don't have a allergic reaction to birth control. When I say allergic reaction, I'm talking about she don't have blood clots. It's dangerous for her lifestyle. She can't do it, or she has another type of condition where any type of birth control goes against whatever her treatment is or whatever condition she may have, which is a thing. All right. So that's the only time that people typically use condoms, but majority people don't have those type of issues. So you need to be real with yourself and say, okay, in the beginning of the relationship, when we're first starting to date, then I want to tell my partner I want to use condoms until we both get comfortable, until we both get to a point of understanding this for each other, which you'll have a full understanding. Make sure your partner has to go through this process too, of having a full understanding of what herpes is. They need to have a full understanding on what herpes look like for you. They need to have a full understanding on what your treatment plan is. They need to know their own status, okay, coming into the door, even if y'all agree to having, I don't know, every quarter y'all choose to get testing. Now, I will say this. I never did that in any of my relationships. When my partner continued to want to get tested, I didn't really care for them to always get tested all the time. It's just something that I just didn't require. But if that's something you require and that's something you want, you need to say that in the beginning, okay? Just to put that up there. You need to say that in the beginning to make sure that's something y'all both agree upon. And if they don't agree upon it, that's a deal breaker for you. You're going to have to walk, okay? But that's something you want to talk about, and know your partner has to go through this same process that you're going through. They got to take the time to go through that too, because they're coming from an outside looking in. They don't typically, your partner won't have the virus. So, or I'll be honest, a lot of y'all gonna date people who don't have the virus. And even if you date somebody who do have it, you still need to go through this with them to make sure they have a full understanding of their virus and how y'all gonna navigate. All right. Stop walking into this thing thinking that you can just skip steps, because what you're gonna do is go back to the beginning, and now it's harder because now you're scared to talk about it, or you're uncomfortable to talk about it. It's best to have all these conversations in the beginning, okay? While while the what they called it back in the day, while the stove is hot. Like, now, let's do it while the stove is hot. Like, do it when the stove is hot. All right. So let's go back a little bit. If you're just coming in, so number one, when it comes back to the basics of having the basics, you want to have education. The book education, doctor education, medical education, my education that I know, herpes activist education, Google education. Then you also want to have the education of what you learn from your own body, how it's showing up for you, what it's looking like, okay? What your symptoms was, what you feel, how's it affecting your body. Next thing you want to do is determine what your treatment plan is. If you're going to use antivirals, if you're going to use supplements, if you're going to use my Vanquish Care products, you need to figure out what you're going to do. Remember, those other two, you can still use my Vanquish Care products regardless. VanquishCare.com, all right? So you need to figure that out. But in the treatment plan, you need to make sure the treatment plan works. If it's not reducing outbreaks or keeping outbreaks away or making outbreaks go away faster, it does not work. Okay, I'm going to make that clear. If it's not doing it, it's not working. So you need to figure that out before you have any more sex. Okay, you need to figure out that part, because it's going to give you peace of mind. Because outbreaks, transmission. I want y'all to think that. Outbreaks, transmission. Outbreaks, transmission. No outbreaks, no chance of transmission. Okay. Next thing, you want to get to a point where talk about sex. What sex gonna look like for you? Okay, condoms, no condoms, time a frame that when you want to use condoms, time frame you don't want to use condoms. Also talking about transmission and what transmission look like for y'all. All right, it look like for you. Remember, this sex area, you need to work through this by yourself before you add another person. Because when you add another person, it gets a little bit more difficult to move through, because you got to consider their feelings, their emotions. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer for your partner to get comfortable, or y'all both to get on the same page. All right. Then the last thing is disclosure. And you're like, well, Blaze, why you talk about disclosure for sex? No, because talking about sex is more important to y'all than y'all know than disclosure. All right. You want to know all that stuff about that sex thing before you disclose. All right. And there's nothing wrong with having all these conversations with among yourself, getting all the information for the disclosure. Because if you don't know this, when you get the disclosure and your partner asks you all these questions, you won't know, because you did not take the time to do all of those things. All right. And have that sex talk with yourself. And getting all the information you know about the sex. Know everything about your treatment plan. Know everything about what transmission look like. Know everything about how the virus affects your body. You need to know it all. Because when a person comes into play, they're going to ask you questions. You hear me? They're going to ask you questions. And if you don't know the question, it does not help the situation. It makes the situation way more stressful, because they're going to ask you, when did you find out? How long did you have it? This is kind of the same question, but they tend to ask this question. I don't know why, but they ask these same questions off back to back. All right. Where do you have your outbreaks at? How many outbreaks do you have? Can we have normal sex? Which normal sex is, can they have sex with every hole with comfort? Okay. Okay. They want to know that. Can you have a baby? Is the baby at risk? All right. How are we going to reduce my chance of getting it? Do we have to use condoms all the time? How long do your outbreaks last? What are you on? And are you on medication? You should be able to answer all those questions. And all the way to answer all those questions, go through what I just said. Okay. That is the way to get through that. All right. So that's all I want to say. That was a lot of information, but I want y'all to watch this again and kind of just take your time and work through it, because a lot of this stuff you're going to have to slow down for a minute and think. This stuff ain't just about reading it or whatever. You got to think this stuff through. You got to ask yourself, what am I feeling? What am I thinking? This virus really affects your mental than anything. And you want to know why it affects your mental? Because it's in your nervous system, okay? The nervous system controls you. Say it again. The nervous system controls you. So at the end of the day, it feels like this virus is controlling you because it's in your nervous system. But you can take the control back if you just sit down for a minute and ask yourself what you may consider really hard questions. All right. I am here for you the whole time. It ain't nothing for you to get on the phone with me for 15 minutes for an emergency call and say, police, I am stuck right here at the, at the transmission piece. Police, I'm stuck at the sex piece. I don't really know how to do that. Police, I'm stuck at the disclosing piece. Okay. Well, my whole thing, the disclosing gets very simple when you get through these other things that require you to sit down with yourself long enough to have a clear understanding of the virus. All right. Stop skipping steps. I'm at the gas station, y'all. But stop skipping steps. Because if you skip steps, disclosure makes it hard. Having sex get hard. Oh my God, it's so hard for me to have sex. I'm uncomfortable having sex. You're uncomfortable because you're scared of transmission. You're scared of transmission because you don't even know what your outbreaks look like. Because you haven't sat down long enough to figure out if you're having any at all. All right? And then on top of that, you're having outbreaks back to back, and you can't get rid of them because you have not found a treatment plan that's effective. See how all of that comes into play? I need you to get it all. Okay? When you get it all, I swear it gets easier. It gets easier. All right. You'll still have up and down moments, but it gets easier because you know how to manage. That is full management. Some of you guys are doing partial management or no management at all. Okay. You want to manage this thing, you got to do all these things in the basics. All right. If you need my support, listen, go to vanquishcare.com, go to Coach Belize, book me for 15 minutes or an hour, and I will get on the phone with you with no problem. I answer all your questions, all right, that you are having your holes in. And then on top of that, for the treatment part, get Vanquish Care. As you're figuring out your treatment plan, Vanquish Care products is a must to add. It's a must. It's going to work regardless. As you figure out what other things that you want to do that works, all right? But for sure, the products will work. Okay, that for sure. But some of you guys will want to do supplements. Some of you guys will want to do antivirals. And I am never going to speak against anybody who wants to do what's best for them. But you got to figure that out. And some of that stuff is a trial and error. But for sure, Vanquish Care is not a trial and error, baby. It works. It works. It works. And we've been around long enough to let you know it works. So I love you guys. I know for sure this helps you. Let me know what y'all think about it. Comment below and say, Belize, this was helpful. Belize, can you go more in detail on this? Hey, how can I book a session? Whatever you may need from me, say it in the comments. I'm coming back. I will comment and answer. I will like it and I will comment below. I love y'all and I'll see y'all soon. Bye.